Shapeshifting appears in the oldest known literature, the Epic of Gilgamesh and Homer's Iliad. Cultures with no contact with each other independently invented nearly identical creatures, not a coincidence. Anthropologists now believe shapeshifters map to universal human fear. The question is not which culture has one, the question is why does any culture not have one? In East Asian folklore, the fox slips through boundaries, never quite belonging to one world or the next. In Japan, the kitsune appears in the Konjaku Monogatari written around 1120 CE, where foxes transform into women, sometimes offering wisdom, sometimes disaster. In China's ancient texts, the Huli Jing grows 9 tails, each marking a century of life and cunning, reaching full power after 900 years. The Korean Kumiho found in the Samguk Yusa enter stories as both seductress and predator, testing the resolve of scholars and soldiers alike. Across these cultures, the fox spirit's power is visible in its tails. Japanese legends say a fox gains a new tail every 100 years, with 9 tails signaling mastery and danger. The 9-tailed fox is a sign of awe and warning, its appearance linked to storms, fires, or dynastic collapse. The tail is not just a marker of age, but a vessel for supernatural force, and sometimes a fox's longing to cross into human life. Transformation is always incomplete. A glimpse of a tail beneath a kimono, a flicker of fur in lantern light reveals the truth. The fox woman seduces and deceives, sometimes out of love, often as a test. In Korea, the Kumiho's beauty hides hunger. In China, the Hulijing can bless or destroy, shifting with the needs of the tail. The fox spirit adapts, always choosing the edge between trust and danger. The tail, or sometimes a hidden skin, holds the secret. Whoever finds it holds power, not just over the fox, but over the illusion itself. On the wind-lashed coasts of Scotland and Ireland, the seal is not just an animal, but a threshold. Selkie legends tell of beings who slip out of the sea, shedding their sleek skins to walk as men or women. The heart of these stories is the stolen skin motif, a simple act with lasting consequences. In Francis James Child's printed ballad from 1882, a woman finds a Silkie on Sule Skerry who claims both the sea and the land as his home. The ballad's verses, preserved from oral tradition in Uist since at least 1849, echo with longing and loss. He took the sealskin and the maid wept. The Selkie's skin is more than a disguise. Without it, the Selkie is trapped, caught between worlds, unable to return to the waves. In the founding myth of Clan MacColdrum, a fisherman hides the skin of his seal wife, keeping her on land and starting a lineage touched by the sea. The day she finds her skin, she leaves her children behind and vanishes into the surf. The clan story is not just about magic, but about the cost of captivity and the pull of origin. These tales are cataloged as ATU 311 in the International Motif Index, grouped with stories where the animal's true form depends on a hidden object. The Selkie's tragedy is rooted in the idea that identity can be taken, held, or lost through something as simple as a skin. The seal wife is not a trickster, but a captive, her freedom balanced on the secrecy of a single, irreplaceable thing. The same creature, different moral. Where the fox's tail is a token of power, the Selkie's skin is a mark of vulnerability. Both myths warn of the dangers of possession and of the sorrow that comes when a boundary is crossed and cannot be repaired. In the high desert of the American Southwest, the idea of the shapeshifter is not a distant story or a faded legend. Among the Navajo, it is a living taboo. The word for this being is spoken only with caution, Ye-Nald Lushi, the one who goes on all fours. To break the balance of Hojo, harmony, beauty, order, is to risk unleashing something that cannot be easily contained. Even today, elders warn that naming the changer can invite danger, and families close their doors when the subject comes up. The shapeshifter is not a trickster or a captive here, but a warning, a reminder of what happens when someone crosses the most forbidden boundary. The rules are strict. Stories are shared in whispers, if at all. The skinwalker is said to be a person who has violated the deepest law, transforming through an act that tears at the fabric of the community. Its power lies in secrecy, in the fear that it could be anyone, anywhere. Unlike the fox or the Selkie, the skinwalker is not a visitor from another world, but a presence that moves among the familiar, hidden in plain sight. This fear is not lost on outsiders. Between 2007 and 2012, the U.S. Air Force funded the Advanced Aerospace Weapons System Applications Program, ASAP, to collect reports of unexplained phenomena. The declassified files use careful language, cataloging non-human intelligences and shape-changing beings, but never naming them. Investigators noted that local stories of transformation, especially those tied to Navajo lands, shaped what people claimed to witness. The files do not claim to prove the skinwalker's existence, but they treat the motif as a factor that can influence perception and as a social danger that must be handled with care. In the Navajo tradition, the shapeshifter is not a distant myth. It is a breach of order, a living threat, and a lesson about trust. The risk is not just in what the skinwalker might do, but in what it represents, the fear that the stranger, or even the neighbor, is not what they appear to be. In the Amazon's labyrinth of rivers, the Encantado is more than a legend. Locals know him as the river dolphin who walks among them, slipping ashore in human form, always marked by a wide white hat pulled low to hide his blowhole. At dusk, he appears at riverside dances, charming, unpredictable, impossible to pin down. He seduces, then disappears before sunrise, leaving behind questions and sometimes a child with no father to claim. When suspicion falls on the Encantado, families turn to the river shaman. The cure is as old as memory: manioc flour and dried chili peppers tossed onto the water. It's a ritual that stings, meant to drive the dolphin back beneath the surface, restoring the boundary between worlds. The white hat lingers in carnival masks, a quiet warning that some visitors are never quite what they seem. This pattern, nature shaping the supernatural, runs deep. Centuries before the Encantado, the Olmec carved stone jaguars with human faces, artifacts dating from 1500 to 400 BCE. The were-jaguar's fangs and wide eyes stare out from ancient altars, not as monsters but as guardians of the threshold, symbols of shamanic passage. In these stories, the jaguar rules the forest, the dolphin the river, each blurring the line between animal and person, each able to cross boundaries others cannot. Here, shapeshifters are woven into daily life, not shunned. The Encantado is a trickster, a neighbor, a danger to be managed. The remedy is known, the signs are watched, and the lesson endures. Trust is always conditional, and the truth often hides behind a hat or a mark. In the oldest Greek stories, the sea god Proteus slips through forms as easily as water, taking the shape of a seal, a lion, a serpent, and he is always just out of reach, his truth hidden behind endless disguises. To catch him, a mortal must hold fast as he changes, forcing him to reveal what he knows. In Norse myth, Loki's transformations are more than mischief. He becomes a mare and gives birth to Sleipnir, the eight-legged horse that carries Odin between worlds. Loki's shifting is a tool of power, a way to cross boundaries that hold others back. Then there is Zeus, who descends as a swan, a bull, even a shower of gold, using animal forms to seduce, deceive, and command. Each of these gods bends the rules of nature, not for survival, but to control fate, knowledge, or desire. Their transformations are never random. They are calculated moves in a game where truth is a weapon and disguise is the privilege of the strong. The divine shapeshifter is not a victim or an outcast, but a master of thresholds, using change itself as a source of authority. Across continents and centuries, the pattern repeats. In Paleolithic caves like Chauvet and Lascaux, artists painted hybrid beings, half human and half animal, more than 35,000 years ago. Horns, tails, feline paws. These were not random decorations, but deliberate choices, blending the boundaries of species and self. The same forms appear in Olmec jaguar carvings, in Norse sagas, in Amazonian river tales. The motif index of folk literature, cataloging stories from every inhabited region, finds the shape-changing D-type motif in nearly every culture surveyed. Anthropologists debate the origins. Some point to ancient shamanic rites where transformation was a path to knowledge or power. Others see a universal warning encoded deep in human memory about the danger of the stranger who wears a familiar face. The shapeshifter follows the most powerful local creature: fox, seal, jaguar, dolphin, always crossing the boundary between human and other, trust and uncertainty. In every case, the lesson endures. You cannot always trust what you see. Still today, the shapeshifter walks among us. Same creature, different moral, always wearing the most powerful local skin. In a world of shifting identities and digital masks, you cannot always trust what you see. The ancient warning lingers. Not every stranger is what they appear to be. Share your thoughts below.